All right, everybody, and welcome to the Daily Space Weather. We've got a minor solar uptick here. We've got some new sunspots to talk about, as well as a likely coronal mass ejection impact likely to happen tonight, according to our forecast, at least here at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. And thanks for stargazing with us. Here is the southwestern limb, and of course, the area of the most excitement on the Earth-facing portion of the solar disk is this sunspot right here. And if you look closely, you might see a new sunspot forming right behind it, right here. Again, a minor uptick in solar activity today. Huge likelihood, nearly 100% likelihood of coronal mass ejections, possibly in the Earth-directed category. We've got huge filaments here. Let's start out by taking a look at the northwestern limb a little bit closer. Massive prominence up there, moving farther and farther from the Earth side of the solar disk. And this filament right here has been named after David Lee Roth. Yes, we name filaments after living people on Twitter. Make sure you follow us over there at Twitter, all over the internet at Smashomash. Follow the hashtag #NameThatFilament to see the history of solar filaments being named after living people. This one down here has been named the Bill Gates filament. And if you're hoping for an end to civilization, sorry, it's just not going to happen. Here is the southeastern limb. And there may be a sunspot in the northeast that's about to rise. So I'm sort of suspecting to see a sunspot rise up here. It has to do with the magnetic data, which we'll get to here momentarily. These are all 24-hour videos. Let's take a look at yesterday plus today in our SDO intensitygram. What in the heck happened? I've lost a tab again, folks. I don't know what's going on. It's a mystery. It's been a mysterious day. A mysterious day indeed. All right, so let me bring out the gray intensitygram, which we normally show. There's the magnetogram, the colorized variant from SDO. And this area down here, you may think that's a sunspot. Not as of yet, at least not when we did show prep. There's a quick look at the intensitygram. That is yesterday plus today. And before we talk about things like volcanoes here on Croissant Earth, take a moment to press like and subscribe. If you enjoy the content and prefer to see it existent, publicly visible, and free for all to view, consider becoming a member of the Smash Team at smashomash.com/Smash Team. It's the official subscription services site. And visit our links at the homepage, which is smashomash.com, and welcome to the Neo Renaissance. Again, congratulations on realizing that the channel exists. You may also find links to our merch, and you may have people trying to shartlight you on the internet right now, or they might be shartlighting. Yeah, they're shartlighting. In other words, they tried to gaslight you. They failed. Your memory continued to work properly. They never convinced you that past events occurred differently than they actually did, which means they failed at gaslighting, which means they've shartlighted. You can find links below the video in the description, as well as on the homepage at smashomash.com to the Smasho merch shop. A lot of merch there, some provocative, some serious, some just basic words of wisdom, some public service messages. So check that out. Also, if you're in the market for some Hemp Lucid products, don't forget to enter the promo code SMASHOMASH to save some dough on checkout. Once again, links on the homepage and below this video. And again, smashomash.com/SmashTeam is the official subscription services site. We are still on Patreon. Thanks to everybody who's helped us out over the many years, pushing 6 years of putting out daily space weather videos. And let's move on to talk about volcanoes. So We do have a new one showing up here in the list. We'll get to it. First, Shivaluch, producing a 13,000-foot plume of volcanic ash as it explodes. Shivaluch exploding, folks. Flight level 130 over Kamchatka as a result of Shivaluch's eruption. Bezimiany now back on the list as well. Flight level 130 from Bezimiany. Abiko, flight level 150 over Paramushir Island from Abiko. Yasur, also exploding there on Vanuatu. 10,000-foot ash plume from Yasur. Popocatépetl exploding, flight level 250. 25,000-foot ash plume over central Mexico. Santiaguito exploding mildly. No indication of the ash plume size over Guatemala. From Fuego, though, we do see an ash plume size, 15,000-footer. It's a flight level 150 as Fuego explodes. Nevado de Ruiz exploding, flight level 200. Sangre exploding, flight level 200. Sabancaya unable to detect, and Laguna del Maule has been upgraded from a green to a yellow alert level because of approximately 10,000 volcano-tectonic earthquakes. Also, ground deformation there occurring at 1.5 centimeters. Is that per day? 1.5 centimeters per month. So far, ground deformation there at Laguna del Maule in central Chile. As far as earthquakes go, we've indeed got at least one major earthquake to report. It's a 6.1. There is the location of that. Right near Indonesia, just off the coast of Indonesia there, that 6.1 came in at 14:59 Universal Time yesterday on the 3rd. It was at about 85 kilometers estimated depth. Anyway, we'll cite quakes above a 5 magnitude. There is your full map. There was a 5.0 at El Salvador. Again, that's 6.1 at Indonesia. Remember, any earthquake can be a foreshock. So while we did see the 7 magnitude earthquake drought end, keep in mind, some of these earthquakes could be indeed foreshocks. You never know. There's a 5.0 at Timor-Leste, and a bunch of 5s here. So a 5.1 at the Owen Fracture Zone region, a 5.5 in that same location, a 5.1 at Bolivia at nearly the same time of day. Those only 2 minutes apart there. And then about 15 minutes later, another 5.3 at the Owen Fracture Zone. Also, Mexico had a 5.3. And it's time to get back to space. There is your 304 angstroms ionized helium wavelength for the past 24 hours from SDO. The 10.7 centimeter radio flux has come up a little bit to 134 solar flux units. So again, a little uptick there, mostly being carried by that one sunspot. And there's the 1-year graph to put it in context. The black line is the radio flux. The red line is the sunspot number. You can go view it yourself if you like at solon.info, solon.info/solar. And Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard not forecasting any geomagnetic storms. We're expecting a possible KP 7 to 8 event tonight as we think the CME from April Fool's Day was indeed directly headed toward Earth. So we'll have to see what happens tonight. Expecting KP 6 to 8 starting around 1500 Universal Time and lasting until about 12 noon Universal Time tomorrow. We'll have to see what happens. We've currently got a high-speed coronal hole wind stream. Let's take a look at Earth's magnetic moment from space. This is the past 4 hours. The past 4 hours of Croissant Earth. And thanks for leaving comments, Robert and Mike. So things pretty steady here. We are seeing a slowly subsiding coronal hole high-speed stream. It's sort of sputtering, which was kind of the forecast. Here's 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. And we can expect to see this light up tonight. So we've got our fingers crossed for clear skies in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. Hopefully we'll get some more auroral imagery. KP index currently only at 2.33. It's geomagnetically calm conditions. The planetary K index is a global generalization of geomagnetism. And let's take a look at the real-time solar wind next, measured at Lagrangian point 1. Solar wind speed currently right at 500 kilometers per second. Solar wind density here, 10.5 protons per cubic centimeter. The rest of those are fairly unremarkable. Here are our GOES magnetometers. We can expect to see these smoothing out if we see no coronal mass ejection impact. And you can expect to see those jumping all over the place if we do see a coronal mass ejection impact. Next, looking at the heliospheric current sheet, there is a North Pole current sheet headed this way. It could be here as early as tomorrow. North Pole current sheet depicted here in green, South Pole current sheet depicted in red. Earth is about to cross into the North Pole current sheet. I think actually by tomorrow that will be here. It's just arriving at stereo A as we stream the video. So that's our top view ecliptic plane field plot. Here is our line of sight field plot. Solar B field depicted here in blue. North and south polar fields there depicted in green and red respectively. And let's move to coronal holes, as we've got some well-defined North Pole coronal holes here rotating in on both sides of the equator. So there's the latest image. You can see that sector boundary crossing moving in, that blue ridge right there, and behind it, North Pole-oriented coronal holes. So here's 193 angstroms. This is the North Pole coronal hole, and down here there are some more. They'll become more well-defined in a couple days. So our sector boundary crossing is something like this. We've got South Pole coronal holes over here and North Pole coronal holes over here. And let's move to sunspots. Again, we'll have at least one new named sunspot group. This group right here, that'll be called 3271. Should be called 3271. Besides that, not a lot of changes there. And here's some more imagery for you. There's our SDO continuum. A little bit of modest growth in the northern hemisphere also. Actually, some growth and degradation happening there. Mainly growth. Yeah, so that sunspot has increased in complexity for sure. And of course, this new group right here, let's zoom in on that. So a little solar uptick, and you can expect a major solar uptick. Oh, one other thing I forgot to go over here is that there is a whole lot of North Pole magnetism still at the heliographic North Pole. So you see all that green right there? That is a huge North Pole-oriented coronal hole located at the heliographic North Pole. Another indication we've got a long way until solar maximum. Anyway, continuing on here, where we left off, we'll talk energetic particles and solar flares. So no energetic particles there. No solar energetic particle events. The proton flux remains flatlined. And the flaring has been minor. It's actually dropped back down here, so just in a B-class background level there. It's about a B5. About a B5 background output there from the closest star. Here's the past 24 hours in SDO 131 plus 171 angstroms. So we could see flares here. We could see flares here. And also this plage down here. There is certainly a bunch of plasma associated with that. Yeah, and likelihood of coronal mass ejection is really high. Let's continue on here to take a brief look at a star chart. This is what's going on over Lehigh Valley. The sun has just peeked over the horizon here in eastern Pennsylvania. Here's your solar system forecast from this lonely side of the solar system. Here's your 1 week forecast. There's where things will be on 4/11. And let's move on to look at coronagraphs, as we've got some CMEs here. That is yesterday's imagery. And right near the beginning, not really a halo. All right, so it doesn't really seem to be earthly directed there. Here are today's images. And how about some more in-depth information? We'll look at stereo A also. And we'll put the Soho Lasco C3 on the right. So I don't suspect that those are any Earth-directed coronal mass ejections. Huge filaments, though, for sure. You see all these helmet streamers up here. Also this helmet streamer down here looking like it's collapsing. Part of it may have even ejected there, but doesn't seem to be anything earthly directed there. We'll zoom in a little bit closer. And there's an even closer view. Great footage there of this filamentary retraction. You can see that helmet streamer there collapsing back down. So it's not even on this side of the sun yet, but hey, the coronagraphs give you additional insight here. Still a huge streamer filament up here, which actually looks like it's dissipating also. Anyway, let's take a look at the current filament situation. This is the David Lee Roth filament, and this one down here is the Bill Gates filament. We've got some more over here also. If you want to name filaments again, join us over on Twitter. We're all over the internet at Smash-O-Mash. Will you be our 400th Twitter follower? Frankly, we'll be surprised if we ever make it to 400 Twitter followers. So that's the current situation. That's the hydrogen alpha imagery from the ground-based National Solar Observatory there in El Teide, Spain. Again, lots of filaments. The Shack filament here is breaking down a little bit. That's the Shaquille O'Neal filament, which produced some great prominences and indeed a coronal mass ejection. Let's continue on to our latest videos. There's 171 angstroms. And that was just an oversight on my part. Usually that's zoomed in one step further. Let's look at the past couple of hours here from the GOES 16 SUVI. So this great feature up here, that could get a name, I guess. Also a huge prominence over here. I suspect there is a sunspot back there somewhere. And that could delay the crossing of the sector boundary. That could delay the timing of Earth's entry into the North Pole-oriented current sheet. Anyway, let's move to bonus features here. First, satellite charging hazards. We've got some minor ones here of the surface variety moving toward the central Pacific Ocean there out of western Mexico. Some minor surface charging there for satellites. Shouldn't cause much of a disruption of anything. There are the GOES electron flux data from the GOES 16 and GOES 18's radiographic measurements from their geosynchronous near equatorial orbits. And since they measure at the F layer, we'll show that in a minute. First, the relativistic electron forecast. And when we see a CME strike tonight, we can expect to see this way down here. We'll see what happens. And there is the 1-year graph to put the electron flux in context for you. Sort of toward the high end of the range here, we can expect a dip with a CME impact. Next, the F layer of the ionosphere and its vibrational frequency. It's like one slice of the atmosphere, the upper thermosphere. The F layer, it's at about 300 kilometers of altitude. It's the bridge between Earth and space. So here are the vibrations of the very diffuse gas in that section of the atmosphere. And if you're not familiar with this data, don't worry, we'll show you the anomalygram. So here's the anomalygram. That's anomaly in megahertz from the 30-day median. We are certainly seeing quite a bit of low-frequency anomalies here and some rapid shifts in the South Atlantic Ocean there from high to low-frequency anomaly. High-frequency anomaly depicted in blue, low-frequency anomaly depicted in red. And once that cycles through one more time, we'll show the latest images. There's 11 o'clock Universal Time ionogram and 11 o'clock Universal Time anomalygram. We'll also show the total electron content. It's the free electrons from about 12,500 miles down to your GPS handset. Feel free to pause the video on this frame if you're not familiar with distances of things in miles. Here's our total electron content forecast. Things are fairly in their normal places here. Let's take a look at North America by itself. That's the anomaly from the 10-day average. And we'll close out the space weather section, as we do, with the latest intensitygram and latest SDO magnetogram. So do we have any sunspots showing up here yet? Nope. We've got some magnetic fields, but no sunspots there. Also, no sunspots down there, I don't think. I don't see any sunspots there either. As far as these groups go, this group will get a name. That sunspot looks like it might be degrading a bit there. And this group in the north, still looking fairly strong. It is, by the way, beta gamma class. Not so sure if I can call that beta gamma delta class. It's beta gamma class, at least. Anyway, that's where the space weather section of the video ends. And it's time to move to meteorology, but first take a moment to press like and subscribe. Press share. Tell your friends and foes about the channel. Thanks to everybody who's left us a comment. Thanks to our new subscribers. Thanks to our old subscribers. Quick question. Are you signed up for email alerts from smashomash.com/smash team? Did you know that we send out email alerts to alert our Smash team that we've released a video just like this one? Yeah. You can get those alerts for free at the bronze level. There's also a gold and silver level for additional content. We're also on Twitter, as I've stated, all over the internet at Smashomash. Thanks to our Twitter followers and our YouTube subscribers for tolerating the pathetic, putrid, and disgusting censorship on the pathetic, putrid, and disgusting big tech platforms, which are as social as living in a cave for your entire life as a hermit. Anyway, what we're looking at here is the Central Atlantic Ocean. And there's a bunch of Saharan dust right there. This is the DUX, one of the many features of nullschool.net. That's the dust extinction, aerosol optical thickness 550 nanometers. And of course, what that does is that tamps down weather systems. That effectively acts like a high pressure zone. And it inhibits convection in the Atlantic Ocean. So if you've got a tropical system that you're watching and you're hoping it develops into a hurricane, you don't want to see dust like this because it will reduce the likelihood of that system becoming a tropical storm. Anyway, let's switch to our regularly scheduled surface winds and jet streams. There are the surface winds of the east, and here are the jet streams. 250 hectopascals is one very specific pressure band, which helps to show the jet stream level winds. There you can see the jet streams over the western world. Here are the surface winds. Surface winds for the central world, and the jet streams. Don't worry, we've got some forecasts for you too, but first, some near real-time data from the NASA GOES Interactive Weather Satellite Suite. This is clouds and fog over the western world, showing bits of the Pacific and the Atlantic. So that's what's going on, and don't worry, we've got some great weather forecasts for you. Some blizzard warnings showing up. So there's your weather.gov map, and indeed a lot of orange on the map there. Those are blizzard warnings. That is a hazard, folks, as ultra cold temperatures, high winds, and blowing snow can prevent your ability to see. Don't get lost in a blizzard. I guess if you have the right gear, you'll be okay, but lots of warnings around the Great Lakes there also. If your location's lit, click your location. There are too many for us to cover on the weather.gov map, weather.gov. Here are some forecasts, and there's an epic ice storm about to kick up. Tonight, it's going to start, and it's going to be icy. Yo. Look at the ice. I mean, you can expect ice all around this whole area. Huge amount of ice there, showing up as pink on the weather map. There's going to be sleet. There's going to be wintry mix. There's going to be freezing rain and significant ice accumulation. We talked about it yesterday, and it's still there. That's the GFS 72-hour pressure and precipitation forecast. It's rarely incorrect. Also, some strong storms kicking up once again in the southeastern U.S. Here's your accumulated positive snow depth change in inches for the same model, the GFS 72-hour forecast. And California is getting spared most of that snow there for once. Anyway, that's the situation for the GFS model. And let's take a look at the Euro model here as well. So there's the GFS model for the next 3 days of snow. There's the Euro model looking pretty closely aligned there. Just a minor shift to the north for the GFS model. Again, that's a European model for new snow for the next 3 days. There's the GFS model for the new snow for the next 3 days. And let's take a look at lightning. As we get to more and more current data, that's the past about 10 hours. Some terrestrial lightning there, looking like it's happening around Indiana and Illinois. Do we have any? Are there terrestrial strikes? Just looks like some minor thunder showers there. Some lightning strikes happening there northwest of Louisville. Yeah, Louisville. Anyway, that's your brief look at a real-time lightning map. Next time you hear thunder, perhaps check it out, lightningmaps.org, powered by blitzortung.org. And let's close out with radar, water vapor, and clouds and fog. So there is the Doppler radar scenario. That's vertical motion of the air column. Things like water droplets and ice crystals. There's the lower 48 view. Here is clouds and fog over the lower 48 view. And here is water vapor. So that is where we will close things out. Here's your recap. Vertical motion in the air column. Ground-based Doppler radar systems. Space-based infrared radiation at 3.9 nanometers, which shows clouds and fog. The NASA GOES Interactive Weather Satellite Suite shortwave radiation map. And there is the NASA GOES Interactive Weather Satellite water vapor map. 6.19 nanometer radiation. Once again, thanks for tuning into the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists, and may that solar wind be at your back. Also, don't forget to visit the links in these locations over here.